A new platform takes a learning curve. I mean, hello, hi everybody. My mic was on mute naturally. You would think 2020 taught me how to be a complete tech guru, but I think we're also forgetting to unmute ourselves. Anyhow, thank you for joining us at our first Fashion Industry Mixer virtual for 2021. And we have two great guests coming on today to talk about the anticipated Wonderball 2021. So thank you for joining us. We made it to 2021, first of all, so cheers to that. If you have a drink in your hand, please let's do a toast to making it to 2021 and for an amazing year. So cheers to that and cheers to you. And just in case you're wondering, I am drinking a Sauvignon Blanc, which I usually don't drink, but this is Kim Crawford. It's pretty good. So a few things to discuss before we bring our guests on. So first, welcome viewers, and make sure you have your drink in hand. Today's streaming is actually brought to you by Events Amplified. So they're handling all of our streaming services. So thank you so much, Events Amplified, for being a partner. And then let's do a quick look back at 2020 through the Columbus Fashion Council lens. So last year, we were hit with the pandemic about March, I believe, and we went on lockdown. And the Columbus Fashion Council, was trying to figure out how do we make an impact through fashion. And there was a mask shortage. And during that, we were able to partner with Elmota Brand Development and bring together designers from across the nation, including Central Ohio, and businesses from across the nation to bring them together to provide over 30,000 masks to Ohio health facilities, to NASA, to various military branches, and to the Navajo Nation. So we were super proud about being able to make an impact through fashion. And it showed that fashion has a heart. So we were really proud of that initiative and really proud of the impact that we were able to make, during a very challenging time. So that was one of our initiatives we rolled out in 2020. And we also started this virtual fashion industry mixer weekly, providing education and information from industry professionals and connecting with our fashion community. We had the likes of Alex Vinash, David Tupaz, Adolfo Sanchez, Luna Najar, Gerardo Encinas, Jennifer Peterson from Easton, even Dr. Chad Braun from Equitas Health on here to discuss, their experiences, their journeys, what's going on with the pandemic. And we even got to have a tour of Alex Vinash's beautiful flat in Manhattan. So we will continue doing our virtual industry mixers, but we are moving to monthly, and I'll tell you more about that in a second. We are also able to execute our Fashion Week Columbus, which is our flagship program of the Columbus Fashion Council. And we weren't sure what to do. We weren't sure what rules were gonna be placed on us and policies because, we take our health and safety very, very seriously through everything we do through the organization. And we just weren't sure if we were able to have an event at that size. Well, we were actually one of the first large events that happened during the pandemic. And we made sure that everybody was safe and healthy, that wore masks to any in-person events, that were spaced out by 6 to 10 feet. Even models on the runway, it was one direction. So, usually models come back and forth. We had them all go one direction. So we were really proud to present a whole week of fashion-related programs and fashion shows. We featured over 150 models. We featured over 15 designers. And as some of you may know, this platform allows most of our designers to launch their brands and to keep their brands in the spotlight and to gain marketing branding assets from us. So we're super excited that we were able to meet our mission with both raising scholarship funds and with providing a platform for local and emerging fashion designers. Speaking of scholarship funds, we awarded our CFC scholarship to Write or Teach, an incoming senior of the fashion program at CCAD, right on the runway at the finale show at Ohio HD Studios. So that was super exciting. And then we closed out the year with Nia Noel hosting a fashion brunch at Fireproof, which featured 4 designers and provided them that platform and raised funds to further our mission. So that is a look back into 2020. Here we are in 2021. My board and I have already had our annual board meeting. I presented a strategic plan for this year, and I'm going to give you a couple of highlights of what to expect because it's super exciting. So this year, we are planning our first ever startup week for the fashion industry. It will be happening during the first quarter. So we're still planning that. We have more details coming out, but if you are wondering how you can get into the fashion industry, or if you are in the fashion industry and you need to make connections or learn a bit more from the different guests we're going to have on in the different workshops, this is for you. So please keep an eye out for more details to come soon. We are also starting a small business grant program for fashion related businesses and brands. We understand that sometimes, these our local fashion designers and brands need a little help, and we want to help wherever it is possible. So look out for more details for that as well. We will continue to have our virtual fashion industry mixers, but we're moving it to monthly. And it's going to be the first Thursday of every month. Yes, we are a week late for the month of January. And then quarterly, we are going to turn that virtual mixer into a panel discussion, much like at Fashion Week Columbus. We had Women in Fashion and we had Business of Fashion panel discussions with several guests involved. So that is our plan for the virtual fashion industry mixers. And of course, Fashion Week Columbus, we are planning away right now. We are hoping that we can do more in person by September or October, but we definitely want to keep the streaming capabilities involved as well. That was such a success last year. And of course, all of our initiatives and events and programs will be focused around making an impact and raising funds to further our mission. Which is to platform local and emerging fashion designers and also to raise funds for our scholarship. And at the same time, keeping our fashion community here in Columbus working, doing what they love, and impacting the city and the economy. So that's our goal with everything that we do. So we have 2 guests that are coming on today. The first one is Betsy Meacham, and she is the Director of Strategic Engagement and Communications at the Columbus Museum of Art. And we're going to talk about Wonderball and the museum as well. And then we have a guest after her coming on, which would be Kevin Tyler Smith. So if you have questions, please ask them. We love questions. We love comments. And then we will make sure that hopefully to give you a shout out whenever that happens. Welcome to the new platform, which is streaming on our Fashion Week Columbus Facebook page, our Columbus Fashion Council Facebook page, and our Fashion Week Columbus YouTube page. And we are working on our LinkedIn page. But this is quite a change from our Instagram Live. And hopefully you enjoy it. And hopefully I know how to work the buttons. So anyhow, let me get Betsy in here. And hello, Betsy. How are you?
Hi, I'm well. How are you, Tommy?
I'm good. Last time I saw you in person, I believe was probably Wonderball of 2020, right?
I think it was. Yeah.
So, Betsy, can you give our audience more of an introduction? I just named your title, and I know you're a person of many talents at the museum, but I'll let you go ahead and speak to that.
Oh, sure. Well, I know you had me here to talk about Wonderball, which is one of the main things we're working on right now. We have at the last Saturday of every January, we host this big party. We usually have like thousands of people in the museum, and I'm the project manager of that. So that's really my main agenda for the next 2 weeks, is putting this party together. And now it's virtual, so it's a whole new set of skills.
I understand. It's a whole new task.
Yes.
Right? Undertaking. Yeah. I get it. You did that for Fashion Week. But from what I hear, you guys are doing an amazing job, and I'm very excited to see what's different and how you guys are showcasing each different room and each artist. So I have a couple of questions to lead us into today's conversation. So we've made it to 2021, and taking a look back at 2020, what positives do you feel came about for the Columbus Museum of Art?
Yeah, I mean, it was a tough year for everyone, but we definitely, I think for me, just seeing the community support, the community's really rallied behind us, and people have shared with us how, they recognize the importance of art in their own lives and, to the city. And it's just really meant a lot to us. And I think our staff has also really pulled together as a tighter team. And we're just kind of all rooting for each other and working together.
Right. And I totally hear you on that. I think through the museum, and we partnered as well strategically for Fashion Week Columbus, and I appreciate that. We have a lot of friends at the museum, including you, Betsy, so I really appreciate the help. But I completely get it with the nonprofits, because the museum is a nonprofit organization. The community came together, for a lot of us, and that we're in the city. Specifically today for the museum, and I'm proud about our community when we do that, because no one knows what's going to happen during these challenging times, and a lot of our funds are raised funds through our programs and events. So I think that's amazing. That's a great positive. Same for us.
Yeah.
So the Columbus Museum of Art is a nonprofit organization, much like we are at the Columbus Fashion Council. How important is fundraising to the organization? I might have just answered the question myself.
It's huge. I mean, for us, over half of our revenue is from memberships and people that are donating. So it's, a really large part of our mission. And also, this year, even more so with closures and, not having all that steady people visiting with social distancing, that, it's been really important to us to survive this year.
Right. And so what fundraising events do you have planned for 2021?
Well, we have Wonderball, obviously, January 30th. And I will say, I'm wearing my sparkle in honor of Gabriel, who I think is watching. He said I had to wear
Gabe. Hi, Gabe.
Wonderball. So I have my sparkle. We always wear black and white. So that's the first thing on the roster. We also have another fashion-related event in April. We have Art in Bloom, which is an event that our volunteer auxiliary, the Arts Advocates, organized for us. And we have Carson Kressley is going to come do an event called The Art of Style, and that's on April 23rd. So look out.
And I just want to say, for those of you who may not know who Carson is, he is the original Queer Art for the Straight guy, okay? They were the original. I just aged myself, but it's cool. But yeah, Carson's awesome. I'm so glad you guys have him coming in. I'm actually talking to someone on your committee about how we can help support that as well through the council. So I mean, it's fashion related. Why not? Right?
Yeah, and I'm hoping that can be in person, maybe outside in the garden, but that things always change, but that's our plan as of now.
Right. And then, I mean, of course, I think, we're in the same boat as far as like wondering what's going to be happening in April. As far as the pandemic is concerned, hopefully we will be in a really good spot to be able to just pull off events however we need to pull them off, because we got to raise funds, right, and be healthy and safe. That's the next question. Are the events in person? Are they virtual? Are they a mix of both?
Yeah, well, obviously Wonderball is virtual, and that we won't have anyone in the building except for the few people that will be performing live. One of which is Nina West, which we're very excited about. So that will be fun.
That's amazing. I love Nina West.
First event we're planning to have in person, I think, as of now. So fingers crossed. And then we'll, everything we're doing, we have to have a backup plan. We're ready to go virtual as needed. So
yeah. I mean, speaking of Nina West, I know like she also has had a challenge too, I mean, she was planning a whole tour for last year, going around the country and doing different, shows and whatnot. And I know it's been a challenge for that community as well. But I love how the museum brings everybody together. That's just so cool. Like, Nina West is coming, and Carson's coming. That's really amazing. All right. So I assume Wonderball is one of the main fundraisers, just from last year's event itself. Can I ask this question? I mean, I think it was public, but how much was raised through Wonderball in 2020?
So nosy.
I know.
No, this is definitely public information. Yeah, we're proud that we raised $200,000 last year with Wonderball, which was
200,000.
amazing. Yeah.
That is so amazing. And when you raise this money, like how does that help the museum?
Well, it really, I mean, it goes towards everything at the museum, from keeping the lights on to caring for the artwork that we have in our collection to doing public outreach, funding programs like Wonder School, which is a preschool partnership that we have, or, to bringing in artists for lectures. It's really everything we do to support the community.
Right. And that's super important. So here's the Wonderball, most definitely. And all right, so I remember, because we were there, the Columbus Fashion Council, excuse me, we were there hosting a fashion photo shoot as people were entering the building, your guests. And we were I think we featured 3 or 4 designers, photographers, makeup artists, and it was like a full-on fashion photo shoot because the theme was fashion, right? And people were walking in and they're like, oh my God, what is this? It's a fashion shoot. Boom, we set the tone. So I remember being there, and then when I was able to leave the set, I was talking to you, I believe, and I'm like, wow, you guys have, like, everybody's here. And then you're like, well, we're sold out at 1,300 people.
1,700 people.
1,700. I undercut it. 1,700 people, and you said there was like a waiting list of like 100 people trying to get in. Even people in Columbus that usually can call and get in wherever they want to get in, couldn't get in because they didn't get their tickets or they weren't a partner or whatever. So tell us more about that experience, because I'm sure you were like, oh my God, we have to get these people in, but you couldn't. So that's a good problem to have.
It is, and we're excited we don't have that problem this year. So this is, for the first time ever, tickets are free and anyone can come. We can have, 5,000 people if we want, which would be amazing.
And tickets are free, right?
They are free, yeah.
Virtual tickets. I think that's amazing. I just learned a button. I just started the scrolling thing. That's cute. Something Instagram does not do. So what were a few highlights for you last year during Wonderball?
Yeah, well, last year, I mean, fittingly for tonight, the theme was fashion, which it's always been kind of a fashion event. Everyone goes crazy dressing up in black and white, trying to get it bigger and better every year. So you guys really did set the tone having the fashion shoot right when everyone walked in. I think that was one of the highlights. But for me, one of my favorite things was we had roaming fashion shows throughout all of the art galleries. So you could just be standing looking at a work of art, and then there's models walking through, making a grand entrance as kind of a, just surprise throughout the evening.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the pieces. This is Juan Ferreros,
Yes.
which was actually also showcased on the runway of Fashion Week Columbus, which I love his chandelier looks. But this is exactly, they were roaming around, right, with the roaming fashion show, and people were taking photos. I mean, this is just one of several photos I pulled. I need to save some for Kevin when he comes on. But here's another photo. Tracy
Tracy. Yep.
Her stuff is amazing. This was on the Fashion Week Columbus runway as well, and showcased at the Wonderball. And these are her looks. I don't know why Tracy's not in this photo, but these are all.
She's probably taking it.
I mean, right? She probably is taking it. You're right. I believe that's her husband in the middle. So these are like amazing, fashions that were part of it that you're mentioning, and I just I so appreciate, like, when you guys approached me last year and you're like, hey, or maybe the previous year, because it happened like, in January, February. And you're like, hey, the theme is fashion, do you have any ideas? Do you want to partner? I was so flattered. I appreciate that. And I know that through our own mission, we always want to platform our local fashion designers and our fashion community, because, the more exposure they get, the better. And just showing Columbus is number 3 in the nation for fashion designers. So of course, Wonderball 2020 was fashion themed. So I so appreciated that partnership and the ability and opportunity to showcase our designers that were there, because there was the photo shoot we did, and then you guys did the which I loved it, was the roaming fashion show, but also per 30 minutes, there was a new fashion collection that walked the whole museum, right?
Yeah, we had fun creating the routes. We had this insane map that if you weren't a staff member, you would never figure it out. But we were going upstairs, downstairs, figure eight all around. Yeah. It was really fun.
So listen, I understand. I've worked with a lot of models over the years, and I love our models. But it's not easy to model. I'm going to tell everybody that right now. Modeling is not easy. You don't just look pretty. You have to know your poses. You have to know what directions to walk. And I do remember in the past for Fashion Week, we would complicate it a little bit because of the layout of the room. And we're like, okay, cool. We're going to do a figure 8. And it's so hard because the model's like, wait, what? And because they're so focused on walking properly, one foot in front of the other. The heels, if it's a girl model, it might be wearing heels. Like what? Get the poke, right? So I can only imagine figuring out the patterns, which might have been fun, might have been a little bit maybe giving some anxiety to some models. I would have anxiety myself just trying to figure out the patterns and how to walk and look pretty at the same time. It's not that easy, but people.
Yeah, they did a great job though, even with all of that.
Right? Okay, so what's going to be different this year with Wonderball besides virtual? What else is going to be different? And what is the theme actually?
So the theme we thought fitting for just getting through 2020 is evolve. So just thinking, one, we're evolving from in-person to virtual. That's a very simple one. But a lot of the other, we've had a few performers coming back that have performed in the past, and they're going to talk a little bit about how their work has evolved. We do have a fashion show performance with Kiyama Official. That'll be one of the highlights. We have, yeah.
Let me just talk about Kiyama real quickly. So Kiyama actually was my intern back in 2010 when I first started Fashion Week Columbus. And she was not a designer at the time. She was actually working with the organization, and so she's been there in in part of Fashion Week Columbus all these years. And so she went off to to do her own thing, and now I just learned she was a featured designer at Wonderball with her own designs. I love that.
Yeah, she actually filmed this past weekend, so we got to see her collection, which was really cool. And she was also telling us how she used to come to the museum when she was a child, and it was just really great to be here with her work and just kind of her evolution.
I'm excited to see that because I think she's mixing the fashion with performance art, and that's amazing. That is amazing. Betsy, we have a lot of questions. I have 23 comments at least. Let's see what that is. It's a new button. I just learned a new button. It's under the comments. So I see, who do we have on here? Melissa Miller, Miguel. So they're all saying hi. Gabriel Maston's on. Hi, Gabe. He said, hey, girls. Shari Stansfield, Audrey. And so let's get to some questions here. Even Fashion Week Columbus is on. Who's on for Fashion Week Columbus? Maybe a Dee. Lee is on. Lee Matthew. Hi, Lee. Thanks for being on. He's actually a co-chair of Wonderball this year. Let's see. Aaron Grimes and all right. So Lee has a comment. Virtual meaning you don't need to be in Columbus to participate. Anyone can join the celebration, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. I think my mother-in-law is joining from the West Coast, so that you can join from anywhere.
Good point, Lee. Melissa, she said, yes, so many people were excited to see that photo shoot right there at the entrance. I heard so many people exclaimed over it, or excited over it, I think maybe. Yes, Melissa, we were so happy to be part of that. And look, Events Amplified, we're so excited to be working on Wonderball. And I just learned that, probably most recently, that they too are working with Wonderball. And by the way, Events Amplified is providing the streaming services for the Columbus Fashion Council tonight and forward. But for you guys at Wonderball, they're actually handling video and streaming and a lot. And that's so exciting for them.
Yeah, it's been great so far. We've spent 48 hours in a row together last weekend filming, so we've gotten to know each other really fast, and we're excited for the partnership.
You know what? You get to know each other very well and work like close work situations. But I heard everything's going amazingly, and that's super. Nihal says, hey, Tommy and Betsy, good to see you both. He is also Events Amplified. Oh, Lee has a question. I'll let you answer it. How can people participate at home?
Thank you, Lee.
Dump her.
Well, I will say one thing to note, you don't have to be on camera if you're watching from home. So you can simply watch if you want, but we do have ways. There'll be a virtual photo booth so you can share your at-home celebration and your look with everyone, even if you're not on camera. You'll be able to chat and ask questions. We'll have a painter that's creating a work live, and we'll be checking in on him throughout the night, but there'll be ways you can make suggestions to his work of art and maybe add some ideas to it. So
cute. That's awesome. Yes. And Lee has another question. Wonder boxes. I hear there are boxes.
Thanks for being here, Lee. You're like doing all the work for us. Yes, so tickets are free, and it's columbusmuseum.org. And click on events and programs. You'll see the Wonder Ball link there. And there is, you can register for free, but there's also 2 different boxes you could purchase if you want to have a little extra festiveness. One is like a creativity kit where you can create your own crown or headdress for the evening. And the other has a bunch of items like a cocktail candle, chocolate truffles, a cashmere scarf, a whole bunch of different items that are kind of indulgent and inspiring. So
that's amazing. And so they can get that. They can go to the website, which is scrolling here, people, right there, and click on events and programs, and they can purchase tickets to get boxes to participate. And it's like, if they wanted to have a camera, is there a interactive component with that? Like if they wanted to be seen or no?
Well, that's part of the virtual photo booth. And then we will also have a whole gallery wall where you can, put your photos in there to share. So we hope people take advantage of that.
That is so amazing. So Betsy, how much have you learned through this process with virtual? And I mean, I'm laughing because I already know.
It's a lot, right? Like, I feel like a TV producer a little bit, like just a little.
It's totally, but it's great because probably in the future, you're probably going to hold on to some of the streaming and virtual components, right? To involve a lot of people. But let's get through 2021 first. I'm excited for Wonderball, so I cannot wait. And then we're going to talk more about that with Kevin coming up in the next couple of minutes. Betsy, any final words for our audiences?
No, just thanks for listening. I hope you can all join us on January 30th and wear your black and white.
Wear your black and white. January 30th, go to the website. Thank you, Betsy. So good to see you. I will see you virtually on the 30th. Thanks.
All right, bye.
Awesome. Oh my gosh, super exciting. And look, I have another cocktail or a tea or something from my partner. Thank you, Aaron. For those of you drinking, cheers. Sauvignon Blanc is what I'm drinking, and switching to tea apparently. All right, we're gonna have Kevin Tyler Smith on in a moment. And we're super happy to have Betsy on and the questions. So please keep the questions coming in the comments. We love those. And I think our guest loves them too. So let's get Kevin on. Kevin Tyler Smith, a friend of mine. And Kevin is the founder of OLLY, a fashion brand here based in Columbus. And he was Wonderball 2020's co-chair and on the current planning committee. So for the current Wonderball. So let's get Kevin in here real quickly. Hello, caught you mid-drink. I did it on purpose. Hi, how are you?
Got me. Good. How are you, Tommy? Thanks so much for having me.
I'm good, thank you, thank you. I'm okay. I feel like the light's washing me out a little bit because my umbrella light's literally right there.
No, I understand. It's like when it's dark outside, it's impossible. In the instructions for this, you were like, make sure it's perfect lighting and you're near a window, and I'm like, okay. Like by the time I got here, I'm like, it's dark. There's nothing. No light.
Well, you look great, and I love your earrings. Are those star earrings?
Yes, I got them from Red Giraffe, local design. So
cute. So Kevin, give our audiences a better introduction of yourself, a more elaborate introduction, please.
Yeah, so I, as you said, I'm the founder of OLLY. We're a gender equal clothing company here in Columbus. And I was on the co-chair of last year's 2020 Wonder Ball, which was so fabulous. It was like, I was telling someone the other day that it seems hard to believe that the event that we did was in 2020. Like, and then I think when people look back on this, they're gonna be like, oh God, you were co-chair of the 2020 Wonder Ball. That must have been a horrible thing. But it was like a completely different world then. We were like having huge parties with thousands of people. So yeah, that was a magical night for the whole evening for sure. So
I mean, it was super magical. I loved every bit of it. It was, to me, I'm gonna be honest, like it was overwhelming. I just completely felt like after I left the photo shoot set, you know, because we're in the very beginning, so I didn't just get to see anything else in the museum yet. And basically, going through and seeing the different rooms and the different performances and the fashion shows that were happening, I was so proud that this was in Columbus.
Truly a headline event. I mean, I like to say, I know that this is like kind of crazy to say, but I feel like it's one of the best like art themed events that you can really see anywhere. It's just like so special and magical.
It was special, magical. It incorporated, at least Wonderball did, incorporated art, fashion, performance art. I mean, everything was in there. And that's something to me, like something the museum completely just took the reins of and said, we're bringing all these art forms together because fashion is art. That was actually a campaign of ours like 2 years ago, right? And fashion is art. It really is. Bringing it all together to really speak to a wider audience and to speak across the audiences of each industry or art form, I think it's just incredible. And you guys kicked ass, honestly. You really did.
Yeah, and you know, one of the goals from last year was really, you know, you mentioned that photo booth or that photo shoot. It wasn't a photo booth, I should say. But we really wanted to take people and be able to show like all the dimensions of the fashion industry, not just because so often people attend shows and they just see the beautiful, sparkly, perfect models walk around the runway and you have no idea the intensity of work and art and all of that goes into it. So it was kind of like starting in reverse to have folks like come in the front door and like be in a photo shoot, which people totally I think people outside of the industry completely undervalue how important a good photo shoot is and how difficult it is to pull off. And it's something that's completely behind the scenes and you only ever see the finished product, you know?
Yes. Which and you all make it look so easy. And you know, you mentioned, I mean, you're right, there are different art forms that go into just fashion, right? You have the designer. That's an art. You have the model. That's performance art as far as I'm concerned. You know, you have the makeup artist. You have the hairstylist. You have the stylist, the wardrobe stylist, or an edit, you know, someone to edit your collection. You have the photographer. Then you have retouching, which is completely different from the photography. Then you have, you know, whatever else. It comes out in a publication. Or I mean, it's all these art forms coming together, and I love it. And you guys just you killed it. You know, this was it off script, by the way. So I have questions for you, Kevin. We're going off script, and I love it. All right, let's get back to OLLY Wake real quickly because I'm so proud of you for your fashion brand, OLLY Wake. Matter of fact, why don't I just kind of bring up a few things here? First of all, that's your logo, and I love it. And I'm sorry we had to fit the screen so that the subtitle is gone. But just kind of going through some of these photos, right? Here's another one.
Oh, Deja.
I've worked with Deja in the past, and I love her. She's so amazing. She actually walked the first and maybe second Fashion Week Columbus. She is amazing.
God. She was in the show that we did at the museum in 2019.
Yeah.
Yes. I can't figure out years anymore because a year of our lives were deleted, and that really threw off the entire time frame.
Because last year seemed like a decade.
Or it just seems like it either feels like a decade or it feels like it never happened because everything that happened, things that happened in November of 2019 feel like yesterday, kind of, you know, but also everything this year feels like it was like a decade long.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, okay, so correct. So I'm going to talk about last year real quickly. I
Mhm.
feel like last year went by so quickly, but went by so slowly at the same time. It's such a weird dichotomy of the two because it lasted forever, but I felt like things were coming up so soon. Like Fashion Week was already here. And I'm like, what happened? You know?
I know.
It's a really weird thing. I don't know.
Wow, we turned everything on its head, especially, I mean, I think the fashion industry, well, we knew that it's actually, okay, sorry, it's interesting, I think, because I got a little nervous at the beginning. It was like June, it was in like, I don't know, November or something, or December, when Corona was just starting to really hit China.
Yes.
And so I subscribed to all these, like, you know, textile publications and trade publications. And there was an email that came through that was like, one particular line I wasn't going to be able to get because there was no more fabric coming from the factories because those workers were not there anymore.
That's
And it was
right.
like, and I was like, that's really unusual. And then it just like, you know, then you know, everything like blew up. But it was really interesting that kind of the first warning bells of like, you know, that was the time when our government was straight up lying and being like, oh, it's totally fine, don't worry about
Don't
it.
wear masks. Don't wear masks.
Don't wear masks. It's totally fine. It'll never reach our shores.
I was like, are you kidding me? Because I remember, listen to this. So this is why we love our virtual fashion issue mixers, because sometimes I just say whatever, I don't care.
I feel like I always say whatever.
So in the beginning of the year, if you remember, like some designers were making masks, even though CDC said, oh, you don't need to wear masks, it's not going to help you. CDC said this, right? And then Gerardo Encinas, we both know Gerardo, you know, a good friend of mine, a designer for fashion, right? He was making masks. And so he made me a mask and I'm just wearing it. I did a selfie on Instagram. That's what Instagram's for, right?
Right.
And then someone like basically came after me and said, you're spreading disinformation and you don't need to wear, I mean, I was like taken aback. I'm like, okay. So just my common sense said, okay, listen, if Asia's wearing mask, I'm wearing mask because they know what's going on over there because they got it first. And so I'm gonna wear a mask. I'm not gonna go out and buy an N95 mask because obviously that was needed for the healthcare workers. But I was just really surprised at some, you know, and I don't know what that is. Like, I mean,
well, I think we know a little bit what it is. Well, we don't need to say it, maybe. Yeah. Anyway, we need to get back on track.
We're off script again. Okay.
I have ADD, so it's like at any moment we could just veer off course. I also wanted to mention about OLLY Wake as well. I don't know if I'm sure everyone in the community knows Celeste Mavar Stewart, but she's the co-founder and the head designer for OLLY Wake as well. So I feel like it's always important.
Yes.
And I know she's watching tonight as well. So I feel it's always important to mention Celeste and her incredible work with OLLY and just her incredible brand in general that you should go. Everyone should go check out. And she was also the co-chair of Wonderball with me last year in 2020. So
and Celeste is amazing. Celeste came from New York, came to Columbus. I forgot how many years ago. Wasn't sure what was here for, you know, for her as a designer, and she's made her way. Honestly, like, and I love that about Columbus. Like, you can just make your way, like make your path. You know, like you have, like Celeste has, like many others have. And she does sustainable design. And I mean, when I say sustainable, I'm being serious. Like she literally shaves the wool off the sheep.
From the ground up, yeah. Which is a phrase that we use a lot with OLLY as well, but it's kind of funny to have that sort of core thread running through like both of these works. But yeah, she goes right to farms and is like hand making these textiles, and it's an incredible process. And the gowns and the pieces that she makes are truly stunning.
Gorgeous. I saw her exhibit at oh gosh, is the university, Dominion University?
Oh yes, Ohio Dominican, I think.
Dominican, yeah.
So
sorry.
let's comment if that's wrong. Oh, I think it was. I went to it. Anyway. I can't
Beautiful. But I'm glad you guys are partners and co-founders of OLLY Wake. And I know co-chairs last year of Wonderball, and you guys asked to meet with the Columbus Fashion Council, myself, to talk about how we can partner. So I'm so grateful for that.
Oh my gosh, naturally. You can't throw an event that's labeled fashion and not have the Columbus Fashion Council and Fashion Week folks there. So yeah, we're so grateful that you were part of that celebration and kind of helped create that whole magical experience. So.
Thank you. It was, you guys did amazing work, and I know how hard it is. I get it. So I have mad respect. So I'm gonna bring up another photo. Here's another one. Live a gender equal life. I wish we could get more fashions, but I had to make it the size of the screen.
Yeah, these are some of our older photos. Actually, this is like going back. This is like going back to the old school days, but they still work. They still definitely hold meaning for us. It's interesting. I think every designer and anyone who's in like the fashion world knows what it's like to iterate and create like many versions of things. And OLLY Awake has definitely been a brand that has, been growing and evolving, and it's been so, for us, I think a big shift was in 2019. Really in 2018, we gathered a lot of information and feedback from what our community really wanted from a gender equal line, which is, for people that really aren't familiar what like the gender neutral clothing movement really is, for most people, or a lot of people, you might go into a store and you don't even think twice about like menswear or women's wear. And for a growing segment of the population, for a lot of different people, this means that if you are gendering entire segment of like an industry, that runs like way deep. That means that you're accepting what someone else has decided should be on your body for your gender identity. And especially as, I think the world is like starting to really change and open up to what gender really means and like the flexibility of gender. We at OLLY really want to make gender bigger and more inclusive, and something that allows for, we really create a pathway so that people can really, you said like forge your own way. And I really feel like that is like a real tenet of OLLY, is to be able to find like what you want and be the person that you want to be. And so our design focus is to go from the ground up and really build pieces that are truly gender equal and really are answering the need for our community.
And that's amazing. And I feel like you're kind of ahead of the trend, honestly, with this. And, and unfortunately it's a trend. I hate to say a trend, right? But ahead of the trend in the fashion industry, because now we're seeing more and more of this,
right?
Gender equality, and some are gender neutral, whatever the terms they want to use, and I love it. It's exactly that. And I know you have a huge fan base here in Columbus and probably beyond, that love to buy your brand. So I know we're off scripts. I'm like, I have to look at my questions real quickly. I'm sorry. Kevin, we have a few comments too, by the way. Here's from Melissa Miller, loves Celeste and everything she does and stands for. Thank you, Melissa. She is amazing. You saw that Melissa also corrected us how to make a university. Thank you. Appreciate that. That's what it was. Yeah, but I get it. And then Audrey's like, love her, miss her, for Celeste, love it. And then you saw Audrey also said, love your line.
Hi Audrey, it's so good to see you. Even though it feels weird, you're like in the chat box next door, but I feel like I'm still waving anyway. So
yeah, and Audrey's an instructor at CCAD, by the way, for those of you wondering who Audrey is. How has the pandemic impacted your brand?
It's been tough, Tommy. I'll tell you that. It's been tough. It's been rough and tough. When the pandemic really like blew out and like March, that was like when everyone was just panicking, and really, the big shutdowns happened. It shut down our production facility. So that really put a halt to everything. And when the production facility shut down, we're not a brand that has the kind of like cash on hand to be able to just like sit around with that. So this year we did a hard pivot to be able to focus more on planning and growth for 2021. See, this is when the brain thing kicks in, that I think we're still in 2020. No, we're in 2021 now. We went through an accelerator program that was targeted, that was focused and kind of geared towards like queer businesses, which was really, really good for us. And we really kind of stepped back and we have like a new direction for 2021 in terms of our collection and our production focus, and we're in the process of building our like kind of quote unquote year one seed round, because we up until this point we have really been more of in a brand building place, and now we're in where we want to be in a brand expansion place.
So brand expansion space. Okay.
Yeah, and that means really departing in my land. So I think the complexity of being in fashion as well is that you have to, in one moment, be immensely creative and really think outside of the box, and constantly be like, how am I going to, really create a place in people's hearts and minds for a brand, which is like a powerful thing. And then on the other hand, you have to be highly business oriented and organize 1,000 moving pieces. So it's really like two different frames of mind. And I think that I'm sure that every designer who's on this call knows what that is. Is that constant tug of war between those two things. So for OLLY right now, we are in sort of a pause planning phase in terms of like being able to buy our products. Right. But we are planning, early 2021. Look out for in the next few months, new collections coming out, which Celeste and I are working really hard on, and there's some really fun surprises that are in store that we are really excited to show everyone for sure.
And this is a little off script, but have you, in planning your next collection, how do you take into consideration the pandemic and what's happening in retail and all of that? Like, I'm sure that's been considered.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, retail got turned on its head, so I think what has been on the forefront of my mind and Celeste's mind as well is that, finding the sales channel has always been critical for the success of any brand. And this is where I think fashion differs, right, in some ways, because you spend so much time developing products and brand that then you're like, okay, now we have to sell this shit somewhere, to be able to keep doing the thing that we believe in and keep doing that. It's just like a hard fact. You have to sell stuff.
To move from being an artist to being a business, you have to
do both at once. That is really the tough thing that's what makes fashion both so exciting and so difficult. Right. And it is that you have to be both artist and business in one and inspire people, because it's not like people are just like, like buying like something to clean their house with or an air fryer, like that can be ugly. That's fine. No one cares about that. It can still be very successful. But fashion, it has to work really well in someone's life. It has to be something that lasts a long time. It has to be quality. It has to be something that people find beautiful and cool and exciting. And then for OLLY, we need to inspire people about our vision for the world. And I think that what OLLY has done really, really well is create wonderful products and create inspiring vision. And I mean, at the end of the day, that is the most exciting thing, is when we hear from our customers that, just wearing our pieces like changed their mindset about gender and about fashion in gender. And that's like so exciting for sure.
Well, so when a brand can impact somebody, an individual, several individuals, the masses, that's good work, because that's what a lot of designer brands are trying to do. Those who are just trying to start, so even the Marc Jacobs and Alexander Wang and whoever else, they're trying to connect with the consumer. And you've done that, Kevin. Like through OLLY Week, you connected with the consumers, and it's just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger and move out and out and out further away, right, to the rest of the U.S. and the rest of the world.
We really hope so. That's our goal. And I think that for us, we have this mission of wanting to, really, like, we always like to say that like design is really the future in so many ways. Like if you want something to be different, like even if it's like something like, I don't know, if you want like a building to be made so it's accessible so that everyone can go inside of it and it's equal in that way, or you want a building to be sustainable for the environment, you have to design it to be that way. And I think that the worst thing that the fashion industry and designers can do is to be like, well, anyone can wear like whatever, you know? You're like, of course anyone can wear whatever, but that completely undermines the whole concept of why we're even designing clothes in the first place. Like, we design clothes for specific reasons and because we have a specific thing to say to the world. And that is, yeah, that's what's most exciting about, you know, building brands like these.
I love that. I love it. I want to talk so much more about OLLY Wake. We'll just have to get coffee or wine.
Oh my gosh, wine. I can't stand getting coffee anymore. I'm just like, I can't do early, first of all. So
Me neither. Listen, I do not take any meetings before noon. Everyone knows that. That's it. I have emails. I'm waking up. I'm working out. I don't know. I'm doing stuff. I'm busy.
Yeah, no, I totally understand.
So I told you, but you and I were due for some wine or coffee. I want to talk more about OLLY Wake, but I'm gonna move into Wonderball. And by the way, so because I'm learning new buttons on this new platform, which we already love, by the way, much better than Instagram Live. I just wanted to show the Wonderball logo.
It looks so cool this year, and I love that there's a pop of color. Like, how exciting is that?
Yes.
Also, I wanted to mention that to be able to secure, I should say, your spot in the summer event, which is event, I think Betsy talked about that. So to be able to secure that place, a sponsorship is the best way to do that. And what's really cool is that you can either do a single sponsorship, which is $350, or if you get a group together, you can do the $1,000 sponsorship, and it's cost affordable, and it's just a little bit more than the regular ticket, but you'll be able to support the mission of the museum and also make sure that you can attend what I'm sure is to be the most exciting party ever, because it'll probably be the first party most of us have gone to in a long time.
Exactly, right? So, I mean, I just want to really stress on, if you are able to support the Columbus Museum of Art and Wonderball through purchasing a sponsorship ticket, please do so, or package. It really impacts a lot of people, the whole community, the whole city. You know, it's a party with a purpose, is like what we like to say in the nonprofit world when we do events and whatnot. So please do so. I might as well just go ahead and put up the banner. Go there, get your sponsorships. So I'm gonna get into the next question. Speaking of Wonderball, what were some okay, you were co-chair with Celeste for last year, 2020 Wonderball. Right. Such a perfect match. And what were some highlights for you from last year?
Oh my God. Well, what was it great? I mean, there were so many highlights. I feel like when I look back at it, there's that Lady Gaga music video that starts off, "When I look back on my life." So I remember Celeste and I spent probably like an hour and a half to 2 hours of the evening, maybe it was less, to be honest with you. I had like already had a few cocktails, by that red carpet or black carpet or whatever it was, just welcoming people. Yes. And it was the most wondrous thing, because you could see on everyone's face this look of like, whoa, you know, like, it's just so, you just don't see, like, besides like maybe Fashion Week, to be honest with you don't see many events that are as glitzy and wondrous as Wonderball. So that was definitely a wonderful moment. And I'm a big dancer. Like, I definitely, once I've had, you know, a couple cocktails.
See, hold on.
Okay.
There we are.
I hope there's not a photo. There is.
You're dancing here.
Oh my God. Celeste and I laughing at each other. I feel like it always dissolves into like just a pile of people, of your like best friends, just like going crazy and wearing these wild outfits. And I remember last year, another good highlight is that Celeste and I ended up like on the stage somehow. I don't even know how it happened. We're like on the stage and like everyone's screaming and like we're screaming, and yeah, it was just like this great party. It's a great moment.
It was such a you know, such a community event, you know, and again, I've already said this, like you guys brought together so many different art forms, and not just that, but your guests were walking art, you know.
Right. I know, everywhere you look, there's something insane to look at.
I mean, I'll just go through, like, let's see. Well, that's Juan Ferrero's looks.
The actual art pieces.
I mean, he's the only one that had, you know, chandeliers on people's heads, which I love.
Oh my I
Isn't that
remember
great?
last time I went and asked one if he would do this Wonder Ball, and we were at his Christmas party, and we're like in his basement. If anyone who's been to Juan's basement, it's like this, like see this warehouse of the most like insane magical pieces that you've ever seen in your life. And you know, he's just like has made all these incredible things, and you know, we're just like a little tipsy and just like, you have to do this. And like, you know, Juan is the most fabulous human. He's just like, yes, I'll do it. And it's like, yay! It's so fun. Yeah.
I also have, let's see, I think there was this flamenco dancing?
I think we did. Yes, we did. Honestly, there were so many and just wonderful performers last year that it's hard to remember all of them. But yes, I think so. And that looks earlier in the evening. You can tell by how messed up everyone's hair is, whether it's early or later. And that's early in the evening.
That is that is a really good point.
You can always tell in these event photos when people's eyes are like
going this way. I mean, I know my hair. I'm like, because it goes lower and lower as the evening goes by. I'm like,
I used to have hair like that. Like so I know your pain. I know it for sure. Because you can't fix it once it's like got one up. Yeah.
And you have to accept it.
Yeah.
And just be like, I don't care, whatever.
Still looks great. Still looks flawless. It's just a different kind of flawless. You know, different dimension flawless.
I want to point out, like, one of the rooms, the ballroom. Like, this is the ballroom, right? And people were just dancing, and I believe you had like one of my favorite bands that are local, Damn the Witch Siren. Didn't they perform?
Yeah, they were last year, I think.
Yeah.
Betsy
So these people dancing and having a good time. And then I had a few more photos, but I don't think they're up here. But anyhow, there were different rooms of performances or dance performances or whatnot.
Art, like all kinds of really cool pieces. I'm trying to remember Betsy, can you remind me what our installation was last year? I think it was it the 80s like TV room? I think it was. It was really cool. It was like with all the mannequin forms and like old 80s TVs like all over the place. It was really cool.
Love that. Yes. I love the 80s. I mean, period. The 80s is like that's my jam.
It was 90s. It was 90s. Well, whatever.
I don't know. I don't care about the 90s. I can't dance to that shit. So
what?
No. How do you dance in Nirvana? Come on, Kevin. How do you dance to Spirit?
Okay, I'll give it to you.
But I hear you. What Betsy just said.
She said yes, it was. Okay. Perfect.
Yeah. She said yes. And then she said that was performing flamenco. I love it. That's awesome. So all right, Kevin. So this year's theme is for Wonder Ball.
Evolution, right? Is it evolution? What is it? Evolution, right? Evolve. Yeah, I think it's evolution.
Sorry, put you on the spot.
I think it's evolution or transformation. Now I'm like you get that immediate like nervousness of people watching you. I think. Yeah.
Oh look. Well, she said mannequin and LaCroix everywhere, and then Celeste. Hi, Celeste. Yes, it was the cool TV installation. I love that. It was great. And and Lee, thank you, Lee, co-chair Lee. He said it's Evolve.
Yes, it's Evolve. And also Raymond is one of the co-chairs this year as well. He's fabulous and wonderful.
All right, so I asked Betsy what was different this year, and I want to get your perspective of what was different this year for Wonder Ball.
Well, I mean, it's virtual for one, so just about everything is probably different. But so this year I am really focused on like the corporate fundraising side, which is not something that I've done in years past. So I haven't been as plugged into what our wonderful planning committee has been working on this year. So I don't know everything that's in store, but I don't know if we want to. I will actually, here's the thing too, is that every year with Wonder Ball, we like to try to be a little bit secretive about what's going to happen because that's the wonder part of it. So it's always going to be like a surprise.
You're not going to tell us?
I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm not on that committee.
So listen, I just stuck my tongue out, Kevin. It's orange because
Legit orange.
it's orange because Aaron made me Thai iced tea. Thai iced tea, hot tea, and it has. I just learned it has the C6 yellow food coloring in it, which I don't think is healthy for us, but that's why my tongue is orange.
Oh, well, I wasn't going to say anything. I didn't even notice either, so it's all good.
All right. So your role this year, you're on the planning committee, which is great.
Yes, I focus on fundraising though, so maybe less on the planning committee, more on like the fundraising committee this year. So if you are interested in supporting Wonderball this year, please reach out to Gabriel. You can reach out to me on Instagram or anything like that. I'll help direct it. There are some really great packages, and again, it will secure your spot at the summer event as well. So.
Look at that. Aaron Grimes, Wonderball 2020 was my last fun social event prior to all the lockdown stuff. It's a great memory for me. Oh, Aaron.
It was so special. It was so cool and fun.
It was amazing. But this year's gonna be amazing too. How can our audiences participate? I know Betsy mentioned this as well, but like everyone that's watching and that will be watching in the near future, how can they join in on Wonderball?
How can they join in on Wonderball this year?
Yes.
So you can join in if you go to the museum website. There's all the information that you need to be able to join in and watch that night. It's free this year. So truly, this is a really great opportunity if you want to like get a taste of Wonderball, but not, but almost like get a little like toe in the pool. You can do that. And then also what's exciting is that there's going to be all kinds of interactive moments throughout the evening. And as I believe Lee mentioned too, there's an opportunity for the Wonder Boxes, which there's more information about that online as well. So definitely check it out. And, get your pod together, get a, very small group of folks together, your family, your household, pour a few cocktails, wear black and white, still do the fabulous outfit and take photos and share it on Instagram and social media. The conversation and the excitement is still going to be rolling live. So we'll definitely tune in that night. It'll just be virtual. So it'll be different, but it's going to be great. It's going to be.
It's safe. It's healthy.
Yeah.
It'd be great. So Lee said, warm up to Wonderball will be outside on the CMA grounds in is that September? I'm confused.
August, I think Lee said.
Talk about August. We have last Saturday in August, VIP, Gabriel Maslin. Hi, Gabe. Just said that. So that's great. And that will be available for VIPs, I believe, or sponsors and VIPs or something like that, I believe, right?
The warm up to Wonderball event, I believe, is for sponsors, but what I'm not clear on, and I don't know if that decision is made, is whether there's going to be, it's August 28th, by the way, is the warm up to Wonderball. Nice. What I'm not clear on is if there's going to be individual ticket sales. Then I do know that the way to secure tickets right now is through being a sponsor, which, as I had mentioned earlier, you can get a small group together. Maybe it's your family or your household or your pod. And do that group sponsorship at 1,000, which is like a really good approachable level.
Yes, totally. Like you said, get your pod together. I've definitely done that throughout this pandemic. Thank God for my little pod. To do certain interactive things socially.
Yeah. So there will be tickets available for the summer event, but it's all about capacity. So really, that's why I say that it's important to secure them now.
There we go. Gabe just answered it. Only way to secure now for August is to be a sponsor. And that's great. I mean, I think sponsorships start at $350, which is, according to like last year's prices for Wonderball, I think $350 was for one person. So that's great to go ahead and secure that. I love that. And plus, if you guys have not been at the Columbus Museum of Art's courtyard, outdoor space, it's super amazing. It's so magical. I love going there just to eat, at the restaurant and then hanging out outside, and even for the events. So that's super awesome. All right, Kevin, how can our audiences shop OLLY Wake?
So the best way is if you follow us on our social media, on Instagram or Facebook, you'll be able to see when our next collection drops and when we have new products available. So definitely please go follow us so you can keep in the loop. Right now, there's nothing that you can buy immediately, but literally within the next 2 months, there will be. So stay tuned for some really exciting new pieces.
So I'm looking for questions from anybody else that has a question. Lee just asked it, we answered it. How can people support OLLY Wake? And any last questions for Kevin before we conclude our session today? Our virtual fashion industry mixer. Dun, dun, dun. Any takers? Kevin, thank you so much for being on today. It's so good to see your face. I haven't seen you.
Gosh. Thank you for having me. It was so much fun.
Yep. So it looks like Celeste just said OLLY has some exciting stuff coming up. Yes, we heard. I cannot wait. You have to keep in touch with us about that so we can help promote you out. So
yes, I definitely will.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you so much. I will see you soon. We're gonna do a wine date. I promise you. Let's do it.
It's happening, whether you like it or not. I'm just gonna show up with mine.
Yes, I love it. Vino's good. So, all right, bye, boo. Good to see you.
Bye.
Thank you, Kevin, so much, and Betsy for joining us today. And again, if you see at the bottom of the screen, you can visit the Columbus Museum of Art, or actually www.columbusmuseum.org to get more information about Wonderball. It's going virtual. It's January 30th. It is a fabulous time, and you are supporting the community, the arts community. Thank you so much for joining us. Mark your calendars for every first Thursday. Although we're late this month, but it's the Fashion Industry Mixer virtual style. And every quarter, we're going to do a panel discussion around a fashion topic. Thank you again to our guests, to our viewers, and to Events Amplified for providing the streaming service for us and for managing it. It's a lot more work than it seems. We make it look easy. They make it look easy. Don't forget to follow us at Columbus Fashion Council on our Facebook and our Instagram pages. Please follow us. We need the follows. And then cheers to a new year. Again, we made it to 2021. I think it's going to be an interesting first month, but I think we're going to get through it and just keep manifesting positivity. Yeah, so thank you so much. Have a good night. I'm going to scroll through a couple of logos if you don't mind, and we will see you again soon. See ya.